Just to show you how Linuxy I am, I got Arch Linux running, ladies and gentlemen. And the reason I use Arch Linux is because you literally build it from a command line all the way into whatever experience you want. Would I recommend Arch Linux for any beginner who doesn't know anything about Linux to start off with? No, okay? Maybe I want to use Arch Linux like Mutahar. By the way, officer, I use Arch Linux, okay? And definitely better than some of my Arch Linux stuff, dude. I mean, that shit just looks boring. You might wonder what flavor of Linux. Arch Linux, Ubuntu, Pop OS, Manjaro, a little bit of Debian. Well, no. Arch Linux is great. You know, it's a very nice operating system. All right, I figured I have to say that because as Arch Linux people can't shut the fuck up for more than 15 seconds because I'm a Linux guy myself. Arch Linux, by the way. Now, you can go to Arch Linux and just download that and set it up on any of these devices if you actually wanted to. Because at the end of the day, this is just Arch Linux with the Steam coat of paint. This is a Arch Linux device, but it's just a Arch Linux based device, and because Arch Linux doesn't actually patch the SSH to that, I even went so far as to, get an image of Arch Linux. And again, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm on Arch Linux, and Arch Linux, even though you should just switch to Linux, all right? Fuck the Windows monopoly. Using something known as Arch Linux, I literally start from a command line. Yes, something that basic. You just click Arch Linux, install medium, x86, 64, UEFI. So thankfully for this, I'm just going to switch to Arch Linux because that's really what I've been using for the last few years. Now, I use Arch Linux, and I don't want to say that like I have this badge of honor. Now, Arch Linux is something I know you've heard, okay? Because like veganism, the people behind it just cannot shut up about it. No idea that it's running under Arch Linux, for running underneath Arch Linux. So today, I've got a computer running Arch Linux without telling everybody that we use Arch Linux. Arch Linux users will just let you know that they're Arch Linux people, okay? They'll just tell you. Call yourself butt plug, fairy, Arch Linux lover, because I just reinstalled Arch Linux. Had he been using Arch Linux for crying out loud? You'll see that I'm an Arch Linux user, all right? But I am using Arch Linux, so Pac-Man is mine. Is something known as the Arch Linux Wiki. Since I'm an Arch Linux guy, I want you to sort of use Arch Linux, but if I was to teach you how to install it, that'd be a whole separate video. And if you go all the way down to Arch Linux, this is what some people consider to be the final god.